welcome back to Morbidly Bewitched, part 2 of what to do with cremated remains. In this part, we're going to be talking about jewellery, glass, diamonds, fireworks and launching into space. Grab your cup of tea and let's get started. So, putting cremated remains into things like paperweights or jewellery will require the use of glass. But what is glass exactly? I think it's best we head down to Leanne's Science Corner. Glass is made up of three main components: sand, sodium carbonate and calcium carbonate. All of these ingredients are then mixed together and heated to a massive 2,300 Fahrenheit or approximately 1,260 degrees Celsius. Oh yes, it's hotter than lava. The process of putting cremated remains into something like a paperweight really is quite impressive. And it's almost therapeutic to watch. I would urge you to actually watch some of the videos on YouTube relating to putting cremated remains into a paperweight, because it's a very long, drawn out process and it takes an absolute perfectionist to get it right. It's the same level with jewellery, just on a miniature scale with tinier tools. And of course, with glass, you also get the luxury of picking things like colours and speckled dust to mix in through the cremated remains as well, which will then be picked up by the molten glass and set indefinitely. Jewellery can be anything from cufflinks, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, you name it. They've probably thought of it. But the list is quite long. You have ample choice of what would be your preference in terms of jewellery. The amount of cremated remains required for jewellery or glass, like a paperweight, really isn't that much though. They usually only require about a tablespoonful to carry out their work, which means you're still going to have to make a choice of what to do with the rest of those cremated remains. Price-wise, it's not just as bad as you may think. Considering the process involved in actually manufacturing these pieces, it's really quite intense. The only thing that will really change the price and bump it right up there is if you decide to get something set in gold rather than silver. Now let's talk about diamonds. Diamonds are created over thousands of years by carbon in the earth being compressed and heated by the earth's core. Depending on the soil and the region that the diamond's found in would determine what the colour is of that diamond. What scientists have been able to do is recreate this identically by a simulator. They take the carbon out of the cremated remains or the human hair and they put it into what's called a growth capsule. This growth capsule is then put inside a pod, which is then encapsulated in another pod and then another pod, which recreates that pressure, that natural pressure that would happen in the earth. And it's also set at a consistent temperature. The longer the carbon from the hair or the cremated remains is kept, the larger the diamond. What you are left with, however, is a genuine diamond. It's called a simulated diamond, but it's still the same components and the same techniques that it takes to create a real diamond in the earth. The only difference is it hasn't taken thousands of years to make it. These scientists also then use different components if you want that diamond to be a particular colour, like red or blue or yellow. And depending on how big you want that diamond will obviously mean a longer process. However, because this is a genuine diamond, that's exactly how much you're going to pay and exactly how much they will charge per carat. Needless to say though, it's a very fancy idea. Fireworks! Yes! Absolutely fantastic idea and really enjoyed by many people. Fireworks can range anything from a full display to one or two. But either way, there is companies out there that will organise cremated remains into fireworks for you. These can range anything from a 2-minute display right through to a 10-minute display, and obviously the price changes dramatically. But you can opt for a display that's purposely designed by a technician, which means they will make the firework, they'll put the cremated remains into the firework. You get to pick what fireworks you want and what colours you want, and then they will actually take care of the display itself, so you don't have to worry about being a wee bit of a bumbling idiot on the day. It's alright, I can do it. How hard can it be? Firework displays on their own at, say, my favourite time of year, Halloween, how did you guess, are expensive enough on their own. So add the use of cremated remains into that display and the price goes up even further. So it is a wee bit on the pricey side to go for this. Although some companies do sport the option of creating a firework for you that then you will be able to light yourself at home. It's usually in the form of a firework cake, which is extremely easy to light and less likely for you to make a mistake with. Launching into space, for all of you little wannabe astronauts out there, this is an option for you. There's a few different scenarios for launching into space, one being a purpose-designed pod or urn. Your entire cremated remains actually go into this, and it's very slowly lifted up through the sky, through the clouds, into the atmosphere, and at approximately 1,000 feet, the smart technology in the pod triggers a reaction that slowly lets the cremated remains drop out of the urn, which will eventually be picked up by the atmosphere of the Earth again, and over time return through the form of raindrops and snow. There are a few other options for launching into space. The only other one I'm going to give to you today that springs to mind is actually using a smaller amount of cremated remains. These are attached to a rocket or unit. You're actually given a launch date, and in amongst that unit there's going to be things like an SD card to describe the person's life and who they were, and a tracker, which means for generations to come your family can monitor the dearly departed and their journey through space. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of what to do with cremated remains just as much as I enjoyed making it. Join me in my next video when I'm going to be discussing full human remain burial at sea. Please subscribe and I'll see you soon.